Hello and welcome to Cab Chat. This is episode 286 and we've got Grant Davis back again. Don't forget, if you do like the podcast, to make sure you subscribe. We need more subscribers so we can hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. Join the YouTube partner program and get some money coming in to fund all of the expenses that this costs. About £80 a month to keep this podcast going at the moment. So, I'm £240 down at the moment. Well, probably even more than that, actually. So if we get a bit of money coming in, it'll ease the burden for me. So in this episode, we'll be talking to Grant about why London needs, or why he thinks London needs another vehicle option for the cab trade, why the MaxiCab should be licensed in London. So do you want to tell us why you think we need another option, Grant?
Yeah, I do actually, because I think one of the points that we spoke about on the previous edition was about the future of the cab trade, correct?
Yep, you are correct, yeah.
And so what I'm thinking, and what I've been thinking, is I've been hearing whispers on the grapevine for over nearly a year now that the TXEs are going to be stopped being made. And when I first heard that, I thought, well, if they're not bringing a vehicle in straight away, if there's no other vehicle, where does that leave the cab trade, right? You know, talking about the cab trade shrinking and the threats we're facing. But if we haven't got a vehicle, then to me, that's disastrous, right? That's terrible. And I just think, even though, you know, as we all do, take a bit of stick on X, I'm going to be proved right here, because I think with the Ford Maxi, it's not everyone's cup of tea, right? But now they've stopped making the TXEs. You read other trade mags, right? Listen to other people. That's your choice. Where they say it's being made to order. Really? I phoned them a couple of weeks ago, said I'd like a cab. I've got an old second-hand TXE. I want a new one, right? The best they offered me was phone back in December, or could get you a white one, come down from Scotland or something, right? And there's only a handful of them. See, I've been privy to a conversation that was made at the SMMT dinner up in Coventry, which is the Society of Motoring Manufacturers, right? And I've got it on very, very good. I'll put my ass on it. He was told, the leader there told a friend of mine who's quite big in the motor industry, that he's been informed that LEVC are not making anymore. Yeah. I wrote to LEVC. I put the paper in the badge. Still no response. I emailed and phoned a guy called Chris Allen, who was at LEVC. He's been sacked, or let go, as they called it, right? And I've had it again on good authority that they're probably going to be an official announcement, maybe September, October, which is all to do with their financial year, that is ceased in production. Now, my argument is this. When I phoned up LEVC, like as a blind shopper, if I had a TXC on 5 years, a PPE deal, right, and every 5 years I back it and get a new one and go again, if they're not doing that, what do I do? Some people say, well, I just pay your balloon payment, refinance, and get a warrant, buy a warranty. A lot of drivers don't like that. A lot of drivers just like to go again every 5 years. And I think if the cab trade's happy, and if there's people in the cab trade happy to have just one vehicle that's not going to be in production and sit and wait until something happens, I believe in about 2030, when LEVC are going to bring out just a platform, an all-electric platform, and it's going to be a private hire vehicle. No, it's going to be a people carrier. It's going to be a van. As it goes along, make a shell up to go on top as a London cab, right? But with 1,500 going off the road in 18 months, what's their plan B, right? And if it comes up until 2030, we're not going to get any new vehicles on 4 years from now. What do we what do we do? Or these people in the trade that are calling for it not to come in, they've all got fleets and they're thinking, oh God, if this Ford comes in, people might want to buy a Ford. It'd be cheaper than renting off of me or the rent. I was privy to a meeting with some fleets the other day and Allied Cab Direct, and numbers being mooted is that the price of the hybrid cab, the Ford, by the time you take the VAT off, fleets could be renting that out for 270, 275 a week, right? Compared to a second-hand TXE for 350, 380. You know what I mean, Jay? There's a big difference, right? And it's a 5-year deal you can do. So if someone was to give their cab up and say, I quite like the Ford, right? They give their brand new cab in part exchange. That then stimulates the second-hand market. And the guy's got a brand new 5-year-old with a 5-year warranty, 5-year, 150,000 warranty. And they might say, this will do me for 5 years, yeah? It's no wonder to me, I saw on social media that Allied vehicles, the Ford, had been down to Ascot's. I thought, well, I'm surprised it took so long, really, because they sell cabs, right? Part of their great business. And look at Ascot's. Been in the cab trade for decades. I remember them at Druid Street.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm going in there. So they've got the cab trade running through their veins, right? And part of their business operation is to sell cabs. They're not selling any new because they're not really getting any, right? And there's no second-hand market now because everyone's sticking onto their second-hand cab, right? So what do Ascot's do? Yeah, what do they do?
Yeah. So what do you think of this statement in Taxi Point where LEVC have said that they're fully committed to the London black cab market with new product plans coming in the near future?
Well, they advertise in Taxi Point, don't they?
I believe they do, yeah.
Well, I mean, whoever pays the piper calls the tune, right? And I think that's just rubbish. Like I said, we talk about 2030 bringing a new all-electric platform in for different vehicles just to go on that platform, right? But I'm talking about now. And why I think Ford would work now is that if say Ascot's, right, got behind it and it was agreeable that Ascot's was to sell a Ford, right? With Ascot's pedigree and their reputation in the cab trade, I think that would give drivers confidence in buying one, right? If I had said to Ascot's, this is my 5-year-old or my 6-year-old TXE part exchange, all of a sudden, from being zero, you could have it where you can buy a new Ford, and also the cab's going in part exchange, January. You'd stimulate a second-hand market as well for drivers who want a second-hand one with a warranty on it, yeah? So at the moment, we're sort of frozen. We're like a cat in the headlights, right?
I think this is my problem. Yeah, I think this is my problem with everything at the moment. We're in limbo. We don't know, if LEVC were to come out and say, yes, we have got, these are the plans, this is what we're proposing to do. Someone from LEVC came on one of these podcasts like Cab Chat or the Whizan podcast and just actually sat there and said, this is what we're going to do. This, don't expect it to happen tomorrow because these things take a process of time to produce. But nobody's actually saying anything at the moment. And I know this statement's been here. And also you've had Paul Byron on Instagram saying, there is a new vehicle coming out. He's been told it's coming out.
What's that? It was that old show on ITV, the comedians, right?
Listen, I'm friends with you and I'm friends with Paul Byron. I'm fed up with all this bickering between the two of you. So I'm going to make a suggestion.
No, don't ask me to come on with.
Listen, suggestion. I'm going to make a suggestion.
Hey, go
I'm
on.
fed up of all I'm fed up of all the bickering between the pair of you on X and everywhere else, yeah? So I'm going to make a suggestion. Charity boxing match.
I'll have it.
Charity boxing match between Grant Davis and Paul Byron in aid of charity, in aid of raising funds for the magical taxi tour. So what do you reckon? Would you have it?
I'll have it.
So it's just down to Paul now, whether he'd have it as well.
The thing is, like you said, we're having arguments on X, right? It's not arguments, it's opinions, right? Opinions are like arseholes, right? Everyone's got one, right? I might say I like the Ford because of X, Y, and Z. We need choice. We need drivers to have a choice. Want the cab trade to grow. We can't just say, well, there's no cab for 3 or 4 years. Where do you think that's going to leave us, right? You know what I mean? Our numbers are going to come off a cliff. And then if we can't give the public a service, we become what? A luxury, well, I could never get a black cab on that. We're in the opposition to flourish.
So let me ask you a question, right? So if you had the choice right at this very moment in time, now all right, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. So you're an ex-Vito driver. You've had 2 Vitos. How do you think that the Ford compares to the Vito?
I think it feels very much like a Vito in a sense that in the front, you've got loads of space, right? Big wing mirrors, big window screen, easy to drive. And when I first got my Vito, I thought, oh my God, this feels a bit too big, right? But after a week or so, you're just happy with that, right? You just get it, right? And I think there was an open day at the airport, and drivers who rent Vitos was coming over, sitting in the Ford, going for a drive in it, and coming back and saying, "I'll have one. Why can't we have one?" And it was the same thing. It was replicated at Great Suffolk Street when they brought a couple of them down, the fully electric, the hybrid one. Drivers who thought of it, maybe, or I don't know, they got in it, they took it for a drive, opened the back, sat in the back, and said, "Why can't we have one?" Yeah, and then that's how I feel. And the people who are sort of vehemently opposed, I say, yeah, but what's Plan B? If we can't have one, yeah, and we can't get a TXE, and we don't know what's happening, and you're right, Jamie. I wrote to them. I told you. I wrote to them. I wrote to management at LEVC. They didn't even answer me.
So another question: if LEVC was still producing the TXE and they had shown you plans of their new vehicle that's going to be coming out as well, would you still be of the same opinion that we need another vehicle in the market?
Well, they're saying we got plans for 2030. I would still say, yeah, bring the Ford in, because we still need choice now. We've got 4 years till 2030. No one knows how much it's going to be, this new vehicle. I think no one's got an idea of the price, right? And I just think with the Ford, it gives the cab trade choice, and we need choice. Why can't we have choice? The people having Vitos, and people say, "Oh, look at them, they're van. Couldn't have them." At one time, Vitos had 30% of the market in London. Yeah, drivers liked them, the public liked them. And I think with the Ford, if you could go and rent a brand new Ford for, say, $270 a week, why would you not? Lovely brand new vehicle. The public would love them. I mean, wherever they're getting sold all around the country except London and Reading, I believe, right? And again, I'm just believing choice, right? If you look at the history of the London Cab Drivers Club, it was called the Metro Cab Club. It was the Metro Cab that they got into London, and was I don't know, it was a massive success. But people that liked it bought one. People that didn't like it didn't buy one. It's quite simple economics, really.
So if you was in the market for a new cab now, and you could still buy an LEVC TXE, or you could buy the Ford MaxiCab, which would, I mean, my views, because I've, when we did the SMMT, and I test drove it, did the video about it, and I think you and Jim Thomas asked me if I could buy that or the hybrid version of that, or the TXE, what would I opt for? And I said, this vehicle's no good for me, absolutely useless for me, so I'll go for the TXE.
Big shame, yeah. Horses. I've had my second-hand TXE now for I think about two and a quarter years, right? And I love it. It's the best cab we've ever driven.
What would you go for now, though, if you had the option of both? Which would you buy now?
Oh, that's an hard one, Jay. I think I'm not an airport driver, so for me, the big size of it, which is a big selling point, wouldn't be to me, right? To be honest, I don't know. I don't know. It would depend on the costings and yeah. I mean, I would go and test drive both. I'd see how much they were, what was the pluses and the minuses, and then go from there. But like I've said, I've supported the Ford because of choice, but I drive a TXE. I don't drive a Vito no more, yeah? So I drove the TXE and loved it and said, I've got to buy one, right? So I think but then again, when we went to the airport, there was drivers saying, I'd love this. All I do is work the airport, right? And some people think they're not proper cab drivers, but I do. I've got a lot of airport drivers, and they want a vehicle. And as their diesel Vitos are coming off the road, why shouldn't they have a choice? Why?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do you say about those that say but we're going to lose the icon? Do you see the TXE as being the icon of the cab trade? Because we had this discussion on the sort of Whizam podcast when me and Tom went on the Whizam podcast. It hasn't come out yet. What is the icon? What vehicle is it that you remember as being the iconic shape? What vehicle is it that comes to mind as soon as you say to somebody, you describe a London taxi? What vehicle do you think would pop up in their mind? Because to me, it's the Fairway, the FX4 Fairway.
Black Fairway. And that's my first cab I bought, a Fairway G544XMH from APMs, right? And for me, the icon there is us, the taxi light and the badge and us as the driver, right? Because I think I've said it on another thing, but I'll come out of Waterloo. So I'll come out of Waterloo today. Just got my train into London. On the point of the rank is a white TXE. Next to it is a black TX4. Behind that is a Euro 6 Vito, and behind that is a Dynamo, and then behind that is a Euro 5 Vito, right? I mean, we've got an array of vehicles now, all different colours, right? And for me, what is the icon? If you're telling me the guy that I see driving around in a white Nissan Dynamo, I would never have one in a million years, but he's earning a living. People know what he is when he comes up the road. And when I had my Vito, no one ever used to not know what it was because I had my light on, I had my badge around my neck, and when they put their hand up, I would stop and say, "Where do you want to go, love?"
Well,
that's it.
If you go back 6 years, we had Fairways. No, not 6 years, sorry. If you go back to like 2018, we still had some Fairways on the road. We had TX1s on the road. We had TX2s on the road. We had TX4s on the road. We had Metro cabs on the road. We had 113 Vitos on the road. We had 114 Vitos on the road. And we had Asquiths on the road. We had 8 different models.
But what's the icon?
What is the icon? And this is my point. The icon to me is the Fairway. It's the first cab I drove, and it's what I always remember as being a London taxi. That is the iconic shape of a taxi. Yeah, the TXE does resemble that shape, but it isn't.
They got the shape right, in my right? And for me, the problems lie probably with TFL rather than LEVC in the sense that, we was promised infrastructure, never got it. Even when I have meetings now, lack of infrastructure is still on the agenda. I mean, that is absolutely pathetic, really. Yeah. Promised all the money, the grants. We got a little bit. And the whole way that when you could get the grant come up, right? Because I remember there was small fleets back in like 30 cabs and that to get the money back on them, yeah? So when the mushers went to try and buy one, instead of getting a 10 grand grant, because so many fleets had, back their older cabs, it was down to sort of 7 grand, 6 grand. It was, I don't know, James. It's a hard one because I can see when I hear Trevor speak, right? And he talks about, the icon, being passionate for that. I get that, right? But you could be as passionate as you like, but you got to live in the now. You got to be where we are now.
Both you and Trevor have both driven Vitos as well. So,
yeah.
But
I'll admit to it. I don't mind, I did have a Vito and I liked it, but I like the TXE. Like I like my Fairway, I like my TX1. I've had all these vehicles over the years, and I've been the TXE. And you know what? If I went into a Ford, that won't make me any less of a cab driver. Yeah, that's how I feel anyway, right? It's all about choice. And as I said, if you don't like it, don't buy it. No one's got your arm up your back, right? But I just think drivers at the airport or guys who come in a long way into London on motorways, it'd be a great vehicle, yeah? And the fact that really, if you can't have a TXE without a warranty because it's squeaky bum time, right? I think if you got something like a Ford, and I think the vehicle that they use is the most sold vehicle in England, right? The garages that could always look after your vehicle would probably be a greater choice. You'd be able to go to like a normal garage maybe where you lived and say, shock absorbers on this. They're probably doing it as a van or a people carrier anyway.
So, I mean, when I was at the SMMT, they were saying the vehicle that they was going to try to get approved in London was the fully electric vehicle, which for me, waste of time, to be honest. Well, absolute waste of time. So in my view, it would need to be the hybrid version.
Yeah.
But obviously, I've seen glimpses of emails from TfL saying they are going to be launching a consultation on the proposal that all new licensed London taxis should be, and this is the oxymoron, zero emissions at the tailpipe by 2030. Yeah. Now, zero emissions at the tailpipe is an oxymoron because if it's zero emissions, i.e. fully electric, it wouldn't have a tailpipe in the first place. So it wouldn't have an engine. So there'd be no generator, no engine. So there'd be no exhaust pipe. So there would be no emissions coming out of the exhaust pipe. So saying it's zero emissions at the tailpipe is complete rubbish, really. If TfL went down that route of zero emissions vehicles completely by 2030, this is new presented vehicles by 2030, how many extra charge points do you think London would need to service just the fleet of taxis in London?
Oh, thousands, Jamie. Thousands. But
So
again,
I said I believed that London would need an extra 2,000 dedicated taxi charge points to service the London taxi trade alone.
yeah.
And I was shot down and told, no, you wouldn't need that many because, people wouldn't be using them all the time. And I said, well, they'd be using them a lot more than what they are now because 70% of LEVC drivers are driving around on petrol only and not using the electric. I charge mine every day. A lot of drivers are just driving it on the generator all the time. So if they had a fully electric version, they'd have no choice but to charge. 50% of the trade cannot charge at home. So they would have to charge on street chargers. And so you would need 2,000 extra charge points in London.
And we know that would never happen. They've talked a good game since 2018 and they haven't delivered squat.
They've not delivered any.
And the danger about this consultation that they're looking, emissions from the tailpipe, that's going to drag TXEs in and drag, the Euro 6 diesels in. So if you just bought a second-hand Euro 6 Vito and thinking, look, I'm looking at the logbook, that do me till 2032 or 2033 with a 17 plate. You got to be a bit worried now because they've changed the goalpost yet again. Surprise, surprise. So if you've just got yourself a nice TXE and they're saying, you know,
I don't think they'll be able to do it on TX.
we're going to take the age limit off that. I mean, they're just killing us by stealth, Jamie. Going back to our first episode when you said about the cab trade, I think the enthusiasm and the love of the trade is there with the drivers. It's just that there's not that passion and affection for us from our regulator. And as they make the rules that we have to adhere to, I think that's what worries me more than anything, you know. I really do.
So, to wind this episode up, because I think this has been talked about so much, and I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation over the coming months, over and over and over again. Hopefully, at some point, we can get someone from Allied on the podcast as well and get their views on why. I'm trying to get someone from LEVC on to explain where things are going with LEVC as well, just for a balance, if you know what I mean. So you're...
To you, Jay, I've written to him. I've tried to contact Chris Allen, who's now left. The shutters come up, no one knows, and that might work great for them, but I don't think that works great for the London cab trade, where we're all sole traders. Even the fleets are sort of sole traders on a bigger scale. And how are they going to invest? I spoke to fleets who've said to LEVC, I'll have 30, right? I need 30. The cabs are coming off the road, like I said. So now they're going, I'll have 30 this month. And they're saying, I might be able to get you 3 or 4 from Scotland, white ones, right? And this is what I'm saying. Instead of like people beating me with a stick, being uncab trade and all that, like I said, Jay, what is the alternative? Because what is the alternative? Yeah? No one's come up to me and said, Grant, you're out of order, really, because you know this is happening. You're sort of scaremongering. No one knows nothing. But the silence is killing us. It sucks the confidence out of the game, yeah? People saying to me, I don't know, Grant. You know what I mean? My cab's coming up the road. I just can't stay in the game. And it get to the point where even if mushers come off from working and phone the garage up and say, hello, mate, any chance I need a cab on the half flat or full? Because of the numbers coming off in the fleets, they say, you can go on the list, mate, yeah? So once again, TfL are going to have the privilege of making self-employed people unemployed, yeah? Time where we're all being told unemployment's up, we need people to be in work, pay their taxes, support public services. We're being shafted every way. Not good. It's really not good, you know?
Yeah. But you're definitely up for a charity boxing match with Paul Warren to sort out this bickering that's going on X and other.
Or, I mean, even if he wanted to come on and discuss it like this, right? Because name calling on X, right? Just to try and, well, all we do is just try and defend our position, right? And we're being accused of being anti-cab trade, anti-this, anti-that, anti-this, right? It's just all rubbish. I mean, what is plan B? Send it to me, please. You know, I'm more open to have a debate, yeah?
Well, maybe we'll try to arrange that and also the charity boxing match as well.
Charity boxing match would be a right laugh, wouldn't it? Imagine we could do that.
But Grant, thanks so much for the last couple of episodes. I'm sure you're going to be back on very, very soon. I'm going to try to organise that with Paul Byron and yourself on at the same time. You know, even if we do it down at the office or somewhere like that, or we do it like this, because then everyone can do it at their own leisure. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and hopefully see you again soon.
And like you said, you know, if you like watching this, then subscribe, get the numbers up. It's one of our own, you know. Let's not be talked about apps and that, right? Cab trade's got a real funny feeling about not supporting our own, yeah? But, yeah, Jamie, I'd love to come back on, yeah?
The longest running taxi podcast in the world.
That's a title you should be proud of, mate, yeah?
Yeah, and it's also one of, according to Google, one of the longest running podcasts in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Blimey, Jay, that's good. I never knew that, mate. That's great. But listen, you know the cab trade. Like I said about opinions, people would love to come on. I don't know why more people don't approach you and say, Jay, I'd like to come on yet.
I think we've been a bit reluctant on people coming on up until now because we've been trying to find our feet with me and Tom. Because obviously it was me and Mac that used to do it, wasn't it? And me and Tom have been trying to find our feet. Sorry?
Did he go to France? Did he end up in France, Jay?
No, he's back. He's over here. He's threatening to come back and get back in a cab again. But you know what he's like. Nothing's a rush with Mark. So
Yeah. But I'll tell you what would be a good one. Like I said, although it's a bit hush-hush, the wheels are moving with the Bullet 21 thing, right? Like I said, we've been up Mishkons and having to make statements, and I've had to hand my phone over and the club's PCs over, and they go through it and find out what we knew and when we knew it. So there'll be twists and turns in that, and that'd be very, very interesting and informative one for the cab trade, Jay. I think drivers would like to know where an update on that, mate. To be honest.
yeah. Well, let me wind this one up and we'll have a quick chat.
Okay.
So thanks for watching Cab Chat or listening via the audio podcast. This has been episode 286 with Grant Davis from the London Cab Drivers Club. See you in the next one.